just started watching Fallout on Amazon Prime. Is my new guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure?
I'd say it's a guilty pleasure because I don't think it's very good, is what I'm kind of afraid of.
Right.
I think objectively speaking, I'm going to look back on it and go, that was kind of hot garbage. But I'll start with the first episode. So it was more or less exactly your guess there, which was they're just setting shit up. That is exactly what the first episode is.
But it's a first episode, that's kind of what happens.
But the editing, and you can watch for yourself, the editing between characters is just so abrupt. It just feels straight up like, I don't know, just really terrible. So it just kind of like goes like, alright, that's enough of that character, let's go on, like, this is a new character, this is who we're interested in now. Okay, no, bored of him, let's go over to, you know, character number 3. And I probably I'm liking them more that I watch them, but in the first episode I didn't like any of the 3 of them.
Right.
So you basically got the...
Are all 3 of them just brand new characters, or some of them characters from the game?
They're... I mean, none of them are characters named yet that I recognise.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly one of the ghouls might be someone.
Yeah.
But they don't refer to him by a particular name. So they refer to Lucy, the Vault Dweller. I'm sure it's Lucy, the Vault Dweller. Maximus, the Brotherhood of Steel, kind of...
Is that the power armor
guys?
Dudes?
Yeah.
Right.
So he's a candidate. He's like a conscript or script, I think they just call him. Scribe. And then you've got the Ghoul, who opens the show. So he was like some former famous cowboy performer.
Is he the noseless dude?
Yeah.
Right.
And he was in Django Unchained.
Was he? Who was he in that?
He's the weird kind of like rapey guy who's got his hands all over Django, was going to cut his balls off.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
So he's still a baddie in this, you know what I mean? And he's a cowboy. But he starts out, he's showing like his skills off, he's like doing all these cool lasso tricks, and I'm like, Mum, he probably learned all that in like the movie Django. I'm like, that's just putting his cowboy skills to good use. But then the explosions right at the start look fantastic. Mm-hmm. The setup, the world looks like I will say it looks absolutely fantastic, amazing. You feel like you're in the game, but in real life.
Well, good. That's a good start.
Because like the TVs look good, the 50s style is there. Mm-hmm. You know, they're watching like Grognak the Barbarian.
Right.
Which again just comes up in the game. And then the bomb hits. And he comes up with quite a clever like sort of saying of nuclear war, where he was in the Marines and he's like, the reason he puts his thumb up, he was like a poster boy for, if you see an explosion and it's bigger than your thumb,
right,
run for the hills. If it's bigger than your thumb, don't bother running. And his daughter sees the first explosion and goes, is it your thumb or mine?
Well, it's smaller than your thumb.
Yeah, it's smaller than your thumb, run for the hills. Mm-hmm. If it's bigger than your thumb, don't even bother. Yeah. It's just too strong. And his wee daughter's like, is it your thumb or mine? And presumably she dies. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been clear on what's happened, but he becomes a ghoul. So he's been alive for like 300 years.
So what are they? They were like mutated basically by like alright, yeah.
Irradiated but not killed. Mm-hmm. So can live much longer than humans, can drink the irradiated water. Other ghouls, like feral ghouls, won't attack. He's still got his marbles a wee bit. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it starts, with the explosions, and then it goes into the vault. So you got Vault 32, I want to say they're in. It's easy to confuse because I think they're connected to Vault 33. Mm-hmm. You know, they're in the same vault basically. So this last Lucy is a candidate of Vault 32, and she basically wants to get married. So they've got a deal with Vault 33 where they'll do like a marriage proposal, because she's basically like, everyone in here is like my cousin. or is not someone I want to be, is already married or not someone I want to be associated with. And she makes comment. So there's this one guy who's like, "Oh, I love you, Lucy." It's like, "Yeah, I know, but while it was fun, while we were cousins to mess about, like it's not okay anymore." I'm like, what is she trying to imply here? Is she saying like they done it, or just like butt stuff, or what's the extent of this kind of?
But Shelbyville, why would we want to marry our cousins? Because they're so attractive.
It is kind of, well, there you go. It's exactly like that, and I'm a bit like, what? That just seems a weird inclusion. But they bring this guy in. Well, not bring this guy in. They invite the people from Vault 33 over, and they're like, nice to see you. It's been, I think I can't remember if they say tricentennial.
What's that? 300?
Yeah, which doesn't make sense. It must be like, maybe it's meant to be every 30 years that they open the vault doors to each other. They normally just, I thought I saw something there. They normally just operate themselves for most of the time, but they kind of go like, in you come, we heard about your crops and we heard the overseer kind of died. So Lucy's dad is the overseer. I recognise the actor, but I'd be lying if I could tell you his name. And it's your usual kind of vault setup, you know what I mean? It's quite cute. She goes through my speech is roughly this. It doesn't give you like a score, but you know what I mean? She runs through all the kind of stats.
Oh, right, cool. Like, kind of like in the game.
Yeah, like my science isn't as good as my dad's. Like I say, it's cute for those of us who've played it and kind of know what the hell she's talking about. But like I say, she's ultimately she's there for a marriage, so she's kind of doesn't know who she's gonna get, and her brother sort of is teasing her about what if he's got like warts, or I think he actually says tumours. It's like, what if he's like dead ugly on the outside, and then goes, what about the inside? What if he's like full of tumours? Which I suppose makes sense given their whole irradiated like world. But I just thought it was a bit of a weird thing to say. Her whole brother's weird. But they meet this group, so they bring them in, and immediately I was like, that other vault is fucked. I was like, that, like, it's just classic Fallout. Nothing ever goes smoothly. But she meets her future husband. They get married. You kind of notice that the other vault dwellers are a bit rough around the edges. Like they've got kind of tattoos and just look a bit rough. And one of them in fact steals like food from one of the Vault 33's like plate, like just
like right off it,
just straight off it. So you're like, these guys are a bit weird.
Even in jail that would get you stabbed.
Well, aye. But then her and her husband go back to their sort of room, and she shags him just right there and then. And then it's sort of, I can't remember what it is he does that sort of sets her off, but I think she can hear like alarms and gunfire, and I don't know, I think it's like maybe because he's just drinking like water like straight from a big decanter rather than like using like a wee cup or whatever. But she's like takes her pit boy out and like checks him, and he's like pure and I'll need to rewatch it just to confirm, but I'm sure he's like pure 100 rads. He's like he's more irradiated.
That's how
the highest, yeah. He's like more radioactive than everything in the real game. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've stood in like piles of toxic waste that weren't as irradiated as that guy. But she's like that. She realises that he's a fucking raider. And she's just boned him. So I wonder if that will come back to bite her later on. And he wipes it on the curtains. I know, he's just filth. I think maybe that's what sets her off, is this guy's just he's like, he wipes it on the curtains, like raider, total raider. And they fight and she kills him. But it feels earned. It's not one of those like pure, like, fight, overcome the patriarchy, like absolutely whoops his ass. Like no, he like stabs her. And she gets the Stimpak and she injects the Stimpak in and she's like, all good.
Aye.
And you're like, it's just like the game.
Yeah.
And then they're like the whole group is like raiders. They're basically just tearing apart the vault. And they basically sort of kill a load of the people there, but they don't kill everyone, and steal her dad. And kind of make out like his dad's done something, like there's a reason why they're kidnapping him, which is kind of, it's very similar to, have you played a lot of the Fallout games?
I don't think I played any of them.
You've never played any of them?
No.
You should definitely play Fallout 4, the most recent one.
Right.
Because in that, basically, someone comes and steals your baby.
Oh, I see.
And then you hunt them down, and there's a whole story to do with, like, your son has aged, like, 70 years. Because you were in a cryo chamber when he was stolen, and they've just kind of shut the door back on the cryo chamber and, like, fucked off. So you have no idea, really.
X-Men did it.
Did they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Cable's like an old dude.
But they didn't, like, freeze.
Cyclops baby's like older than him.
It's not cryogenic.
No.
But you're right. It is. Yeah.
I'm just being a bum.
So basically her dad gets kidnapped. She's like, we need to go out and we need to save my dad. And of course everyone's like, no, because they all want to be boss in charge of the vault.
Yeah.
But she goes out anyway.
Just fill the power gap.
And let's say I think what would have been better is if they just stuck with Lucy and kind of concluded like up to when she left the vault. But there's just this weird, like I say, like edit where like she's almost like midway through a conversation and just kind of goes, that's enough of Lucy, fuck off, time to go into Maximus.
That's weird.
It is. I hope it doesn't continue, because let's say it was really off-putting. It just felt like the wrong place to have the edit. But so they move on to Maximus, who's, like I say, he's a scribe or a conscript or whatever, into the Brotherhood of Steel. Oh, there's another guy. And he's getting his ass whooped. They haven't really established why. There's definitely something up with the guy, which I hope they reveal later on. You know, because like no one seems to trust him.
Right.
And you kind of feel like, well, they have no real reason not to, but they obviously know something we don't. Because his pal sort of saves him. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and his pal just kind of comes along and sort of goes, oh no, leave him alone, sort of thing. And then she gets picked to become like basically a Brotherhood of Steel squire.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, I think it's like 4 or 6 knights come off, and it looks like how you would hope power armor would look in real life.
Yeah.
Like, again, visually it looks fantastic. But someone sticks a razor blade in his best pal's boot, and it like slashes her Achilles tendon or whatever, so she can't walk anymore. So he gets interviewed to ask, like, did you do that? Like, or do you know who did it? And he's like, no. And they're like, because all the other cadets say it's you. Like, do you have anything to say for yourself, kind of thing? And he's like, oh, like, I love the Brotherhood of Steel, blah blah blah. I would never do such a thing. Whatever. He's really. It's weird. He's not particularly likable and not overly believable. So I'm curious to find out whether there is something clever.
Whether he did do it.
Yeah.
Or whether there's a reason why they don't trust him or something.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's not been explained, but I kind of like that. That's a nice wee mystery. But yeah, ultimately he takes her place to become the sort of assistant to one of the knights, and he goes off and yeah, he gets like Knight Titus, I want to say, who's basically a dick. And that's, again, if you played any of the games, that's fairly standard. Like, the guys in power armor, some are like righteous paladins, and some are just dicks. And in fact, the vast majority of everyone in the Wasteland is a dick.
You'd maybe kind of need to be, though.
Well, exactly. You wouldn't have survived that long if you're a pushover. Where are these guys? I can't find fucking anybody. but he's like an unnecessary like dicky stick.
For no reason.
For
no reason, I should say.
He's like, you know, Maximus has been perfectly reasonable. He's asking about his power armor and stuff like that, and he just pure hands him his crotch plate and just goes like, clean that. And he's got his pure robot voice. And then he just kind of goes, I'm bored. Like, let's go down and shoot something.
Right.
So they go down, and they're meant to be on a mission. And I can't remember the Enclave because they weren't in Fallout 4, but I feel like the Enclave are so basically they're like the Empire, and the Brotherhood of Steel are like, you know, the Republic or the Rebels. You know what I mean? So the Enclave have apparently lost a scientist who has something super important, and it's played by that guy who's like kind of creepy and bad in every movie he's in. So like the guy from Saw. You know, he was in Lost as well.
The Jigsaw, the main guy?
No, not Jigsaw, the sort of...
well, the first Saw?
Yeah, the first Saw.
I don't think I've seen the first Saw. I've only seen like Saw 3, 4 and 7 or something like
What
that.
the have you seen Lost?
Some of it.
He's one of the... He's basically the leader of the others.
Oh, yeah, I know that wee guy.
You know the guy?
He's
he's got a particular face about him. So he's a scientist.
Slappable wee face.
Well, he's the scientist for the Enclave. And he's injected himself with some weird thing in the back of his head. And he kidnapped a dog from the laboratory for himself, so he can kind of have a dog. Because I think he just sort of wanted a dog. And he's like trained it. Well, he started training it, but he looks like he's trained it really badly. But we'll kind of come back to that. So he's left the Enclave with some kind of experimental weapon, and basically the Brotherhood of Steel are like, right, you need to go get him. So they jump out of the helicopter, the guy with the power armor, and go into this cave basically. Stop attacking me with your ghosts. And immediately, again, you're like, so far it was, the first episode was quite predictable. Goes into the cave and you're like, I actually thought it was a Deathclaw, which is like the main sort of monster, but it wasn't. It was what's called a Ghai, which is just basically a radioactive bear. And I actually thought Maximus was going to get pummeled, but no, the guy in power armor gets laid out by the bear, and he's like that to Maximus, like, bring me a Stimpak to like basically heal him, and he's like just sitting there like, why the fuck should I? Fuck this guy. Hopefully that clears the smoke now. This level's a bitch with that smoke here.
No.
Skadoosh. But yeah, so he doesn't save him, and then he steals the power armor for himself. So he can go after... There we go, I can see now, thank Christ. Can I go up that way? Yes.
So is it worth watching then?
Yes, like I say, the second episode got much better than the first. I tell you, the big problem with it is it's too long.
How long is it?
An hour and 15 every episode.
And that's an awkward time as well. Like an hour. An hour, you know, you're in there for an hour. Where an hour 15 is like a little. I mean, a film will be about an hour 30, an hour 45 even. So it's kind of one of those weird ones.
They've got more than enough footage, and a lot of it's just so far has been establishing shots. You know what I mean? So it's just big widescreen shots of deserts and stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh look, check out the Wasteland. And you're like, yeah, but as per its name, there's nothing there. Yeah. But then there's I don't know why there's this really lush green forest where they've decided to put the first city, and you're like, why have you done this? Like, the whole point of Fallout is it's like a wasteland, you know? They even call it the Wasteland, but it's sort of the wrong term, because again, actually in the game, the capital wasteland is what they call Washington DC, right. But they don't call every area like just the wasteland, I don't think. I'm trying to mind what it's called in Fallout 4, but it's sort of neither here nor there. Sorry, so where was I up to? So he's stolen the power armor and realised that he can jetpack and stuff. So the guy's off with the power armor. And then the other guy is that cowboy from the start. Like I say, he's been turned into what's called a ghoul, which are basically like kind of zombies in the Fallout world. Some of them are total feral and just run about like being feral, attacking other people, and some ghouls are just like, you know, upstairs. They're mentally like normal and fine, but because they can live much longer than humans and they're relatively sort of tougher. Wait, did someone go? Okay, maybe not. You know, they tend to be more suited to the Wasteland. And so he's buried underground with like, I don't really know what it is. They've set it up like almost blood packs, but in Fallout you get like Radway, and it looks more like Radway, which is like this chemical. It's this chemical they use to alleviate radiation.
Radway, right?
Yeah. So I don't really get it. I think it's maybe trying to be cleverer than it actually is. Because he's got this bright, like, it looks like piss basically. It looks like just fucking IVs full of piss. And I'm like, there we go. Why is it that colour? That was the only thing that stood out to me. I was like, a bit weird. So he's buried underground in a grave with these stuff like kind of feeding him. And I'm like, well, who changes the IVs? Why does he need those? As a ghoul, he should be like relatively zombified. But then he doesn't need to live. That was stupid. But it was just so they could do the big reveal of here he is. He's over like 250 years old or whatever. Nose missing, let's say, because they're all kind of like zombified. And these guys break him out of the ground. And I think one of the guys who breaks him out is. Have you seen Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
You know Bubba?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Bubba. Who gets killed basically as soon as he breaks him out. He basically says, we've got this job to find this scientist from the Enclave. So they're all kind of, well, at least the Brotherhood and this guy, the Ghoul guy, are all after the same guy. And then of course, when the Vault Dweller leaves, she immediately finds him, which I'm like, is a bit convenient. What the hell? Who's attacking me? And so far, like, oh crikey, just gonna attack his tummy. Like I say, bringing her out of the vault, really, she doesn't find anything, so it's a lot of time for the first episode where not a lot happens. Back here. So it's, oh shit, didn't mean that. Come back. Stop running away. I don't know, man. It's let's say it's too early to tell, but I'm enjoying the second episode a lot more. But I won't ruin it because I know you'll maybe want to go watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try because Fallout's another one of those games that I've always meant to kind of get round to, but I think I was maybe a bit intimidated because they're like, well, aren't they quite long?
Oh, aye.
Yeah, so it was one of those things. It's like, you know, I felt like I didn't have time at the time. Although I'm probably dead, but. So would you say just play number 4?
I would, yeah. It's probably the best working game. The only thing that's quite complicated about it is the construction mechanic. But once you get into it, it's so much fun.
I mean, would it be worth going back and playing 3 or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably, it's been a while since I've played 3, but I'm sure the mechanics and stuff. What are you doing? Are you squishing me?
Sure, it like holds up now.
Yeah, I am. And a lot of people prefer Fallout New Vegas, which is kind of the
I hear conflicting things about that. Some people really liked it, and didn't some people not like it?
It's I thought it was very good. I think maybe the argument is it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was all that. I think the big problem is there's not a very obvious story to Fallout New Vegas, whereas I felt Fallout 3 had a bit more of a clear objective. And Fallout 4 definitely has probably the best story, I would argue.
Good.
Although people might call that sacrilege just for saying it.
Right.
Just because it is very watered down and it's a bit less choose your own story and a bit more.
That's the pros and cons of this stuff though. It's like the more choice you get normally, the less I'm trying to get put it like less interesting the main story is, because you can't have all these twists and turns if you don't know what people are going to kind of like choose to do.
Yeah, you have to keep them tied in a wee box, and that's
Yeah, you kind of almost need to like pick your pick one, like pick either good sort of intricate story or more basic story, but you get like choice that affects it. Because especially the more complicated the game is, it's got voice acting and things like that, dialogue trees and everything else.
Fallout 3 is quite difficult, I'd say as well. Like your difficulty spike's quite high to get to, like just even the next step of, because you're basically looking for Liam. Is it Liam Neeson's your dad in the game? I feel like it is. Again, maybe I'm totally misremembering the third game, but I feel like Liam Neeson was the voice of your dad. I'm sure it's someone. Google it, because I'm sure it's someone relatively famous. And
Liam Neeson in Fallout or what?
Fallout 3. Who's the voice actor for your dad in Fallout 3? And like I say, the TV show is following the same kind of route.
Fallout 3. It says Liam Neeson as James / father.
Yeah. No, there you go.
It was Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it's Liam Neeson. Yeah. So I mean, it's come on, get that fucking bridge built. Fallout 3 is probably just got so much more variety. Yeah. But the problem is that there's so much of a distance between each of the kind of key set pieces with your dad, that it's like, fuck me, I've already forgotten. I've been off on like 200 missions. You know what I mean? I've saved an entire civilization of like fucking ghouls from like evil ghouls. And I don't remember. There's an option in Fallout 3 to blow up the sort of first city you find, just for the entertainment of kind of the rich people, and you're sort of like, oh no. And I was like, hell yeah, fucking hit the button, and the explosion is super cool. And then you visit like the town. You can still go visit the town, everyone's there, but they're all kind of like irradiated to fuck. They're all ghouls, and they all hate you. Well,
how do they know it was you though?
How do they know it was you? I don't know. I think it's just one of those. Word gets around in the fucking Commonwealth. Yeah, but it's one of those games as well. I'm trying to think, is the moral system part of, I think it's sure it must be part of Fallout 4, but maybe it isn't. Maybe that's the difference as well. But I mean, like, see, to get a plat on Fallout 3, you're talking of like playing the game 3 times, one good, one bad, and then one neutral. So where you make half good, half bad decisions, and it gives you a different like skill tree. I'm sure depending on which one you pick. Whereas the fourth one I think is a bit more. You can try what you want. Yeah. But you would need to get to like level 1,000,000 to unlock everything, and get like a perfect character. But a lot of it is like you can upgrade equipment and armour, and by the time you've got like in Fallout 4 you get power armour really early. Yeah. But they've changed the way power armour works, so you actually have to put fuel in it. Right. Which is I thought was a bit irritating. Not later on, but initially you get like, I wanted to use my power armour straight away.
I suppose it stops it from being like OP, I guess, but.
But part of the fun is that you become OP. Like by the time I'd finished Fallout 3.
At the end of the game, when you're kind of like done everything, it can be fun to just get really OP and just smash everybody. But yeah. All these shows though, they make me have more faith again if they were to do some sort of Metal Gear adaptation. Because like if it were a few years ago, I'd have been like, God, it'll probably be all about Meryl and Sniper Wolf's gonna tell Liquid to shut the fuck up and, you know...
Shoot him in the dick, yeah.
And stuff like that, but that's actually another one where you'd need to pick and choose. If you wanted a Metal Gear movie, I don't know how it would work better, because there's a lot in them, so like maybe a series would work better. You know, something like a Fallout, like
almost like a boss per like episodes.
Yeah. But then the problem is like budget and stuff like that. Like, it would be such a shame if like Metal Gear shows up and the CG's all shitty and like, yeah.
Well, people are what's encouraging is that people are seeing the benefit of practical effects again.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, CG everything. It's like, no, we get it. Let's use you know, put a bit of money in and build one good looking set of power armor, and then that's, you know, you can use that for every scene.
Yeah, and you can do shenanigans with like sort of duplicating it and things like that. Like digitally duplicate that one live shot, if that makes sense. So you film it so it's actually there once, but then you can duplicate that, so you're duplicating something that's actually there instead of duplicating like CG.
Yeah, aye. And to be fair, I think they just CG copy and paste for the power, for like when all the power armors are walking.
Aye, when there's a bunch of them, that's what I'm saying. But you can get away with that, and it looks a lot more convincing than if there's one real one.
Yeah, aye.
For a bunch of reasons, but yeah, it looks a lot more convincing. Because it's like, one of the things about X-Men 93 they said was...
97 or 93?
Oh, that's in 93. 97, you know, the new ones is...
Alright, okay.
The showrunner on it, basically he was talking about the Witcher series, and apparently like some of the writers on it were like actively sort of like mocking the source material. They were like laughing at it. And he was like, what sense does that make? Why are they part of that show? And it was like, he was just saying how... And this is probably true of a bunch of stuff. Rings of Power probably as well. The writers had the wrong agenda. They were like, we're going to fix this.
Ah, exactly. It's like, you're trying to fix what isn't broken. And
if you're making a Fallout adaptation, you should be a fan of the game. Like, that's the whole point, is you're trying to get new fans, but you're trying to grab the existing fans as well. Like, if you don't understand what people liked about it in the first place, like, you shouldn't be involved in it. And so that's one of the things about the X-Men 97. I don't know the showrunner's name, but he was saying like, that was my rule number one for anyone being involved in it. It was like, you have to be a fan, otherwise I don't want you being part of it. Because he was like, I don't want somebody to come in and think that they can like fix it, and, you know, as in fixing things that aren't broken. Because it was, you know, people were saying like, about The Witcher, they were on about like,
having more screen time for like Henry Cavill's assistant.
Yeah, crap like that, and, you know, all that type of stuff, and, you know, sort of forced woke propaganda, all that type of shit, and you're like, why can we not just enjoy the show? And yeah, so he was like, I want people that are fans, I want people who get it, I want people who are like, they understand why people like Storm, why people like Jubilee, why people like Wolverine, or what have you. Not somebody who wants to just upend the table and, you know, change it. It's like, if that were a new series, well, even if it were a new series of X-Men, you're still making an X-Men series. But it's not even a new series of X-Men. They're reviving that particular series from the 90s. That's why it's called 97. It's like, it's that same continuity. It's that same world. So again, bear that in mind. You're continuing on that story. You're not starting your own one.
Exactly.
Don't try and come in and be like...
So you have to reel it, and it's a big ask, you know what I mean? To refresh yourself, what happened? You know, where is it up to?
Don't come in and try and change up like all the rules because you think it would be better. Well, the way I always put it is, if you're inventing your own little world, you choose the rules, you make it work however you feel like it, and more power to you. But when you're like, when it's an adaptation or a continuation or what have you, you're like a caretaker almost. Someone else made the rules for how that like world works.
Ah.
You know, imagine it was Fallout and they go out in the Wasteland and it's like, oh, no one is radiated after all. What a twist! Isn't that clever? Like, no, you'd be like, what was the point of them being in a vault for 300 years? No one thought, well, we check. Like, it's insulting, actually.
Exactly, and it brings up problems. The thing is that someone who came up with that idea had the creativity to come up with an idea, and thought about, like you say, the world building is. It's a term that I hate in some ways, but it is kind of crucial to good story writing.
Just the term?
Because everyone uses it now. It's the popular term to use. You know, oh, I'm just world building. You're like, oh, fuck me.
Oh right.
For shit that doesn't need world building. You know what I mean?
Aye, crap that's set like
Minecraft.
Yeah.
You're like, it's a game about mining stuff to craft with and crafting stuff to mine with.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't need lore. But like recently, Minecraft, and it's probably because they've got the money, have released a few games that have like, in many ways, really gorgeous graphics. But you're like, is this not? Have we lost what this game was meant to be about?
Does Minecraft need lore? Like, not really.
Like, was someone out there demanding this in the market? Oh Christ!
My sort of pet hate when it comes to world building is people making it. Not weird weird for the sake of weird, but everybody thinks that's, I don't know. It's like, what if it's like Victorian, but also they have laser swords, and I'm like, that's just being steampunk. Like, that's been a thing for forever. Like, no, but this is different. You're like, right, okay. Is it, you know, overzealous Dungeons and Dragons DMs type of thing.
I mean, Fallout arguably is just 1950s, but with like future tech. But the future tech's so fascinating.
And my thing about that is, it's like, culturally, would you say it's stuck in the 50s because that's when the bombs were flying?
Yeah,
So in some ways it kind of... I don't know, maybe the psychology is they want to cling on to that sort of era because that's back when things were normal.
Yeah.
So like maybe you wouldn't sort of... And if you're trying to survive in a vault, you know, things like fashion and TV shows and things that kind of like become cultural like change wouldn't really happen because you'd be more focused on, are we going to have enough pure water to drink and, you know, crap like that. So
it is funny though, having a world where you've basically discovered how to make a nuclear reactor like that size to power your power armor, but your TVs are still black and white.
Yeah, but that's I like stuff like that though. Like, when it's done right, it's a funny sort of juxtaposition because again, it's like, well, in my comic, they have internet, but they're basically playing a Super Nintendo, but it has online capabilities and, you know, crap like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which it doesn't make any sense. It's just meant to be a bit sort of weird and surreal. But yeah.
Well, it's realigning the world a wee bit doesn't hurt, you know what I mean? It's kind of a what-if scenario, you know? Yeah. But I mean, in terms of Fallout, like I say, I definitely, if I was you, I'd play Fallout 4 just because it's the newest. In fact, I could even loan you it.
Is it on PS4 or is it on PS4?
I've got it on PS4.
Are you sure? You didn't sound sure there.
I'm not too sure. I will need to check.
I think it is on your PS5, isn't it?
I'm sure it's a PS4 disc, but I played it on my PS5.
Oh right,
because of stability. Because it obviously it's a big game, and it just runs everything runs much better on a PS5.
Did you hit him there? Oh, you did.
I think so. And he's ran away.
It just looked kind of dodgy. It didn't look like you hit him. Aye, so that's what I've been playing. I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order, which I was really excited for. I think there might even be a sequel to it now, but anyway, aye. Because the guy that is the main character in it, Kester, he's played by an actor called Cameron Monahan. Monahan, something like that. Who was totally not the Joker in Gotham.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny because they couldn't call him the Joker. Or no, they couldn't use the Joker initially, but he was just some sort of crazy guy. Because it's set before, you know, you're like, oh, maybe he'll turn out to be, you never know. But then by the end of the show, he's just 100% the Joker, but they couldn't use the name. so they just call him Jerome. His name is
Jerome
Valeska is his name. Yeah. So. But he's really good. So that was half the reason I was excited for it is because he's in Star Wars. I was like, oh, he's awesome. But it's just kind of okay. It's one of those things where, when I say it, I just find it okay. People go, oh, but what about everything they mention is sort of related to like production values. It's like, oh, but what about the music? And I'm like, yeah, it's great. What about the graphics? Yeah, they're pretty good. It's got Cameron and Monahan in it. Yeah. Again, it's all sort of production values. I'm like, the actual just like gameplay itself, the combat and everything is just sort of meh. It's that kind of like Metroidvania sort of style of like, you know, you can't access an area until you get like a certain ability or power up. But part of the reason I don't like it, I just played, I not long played, what do you call it, Metroid Dread, which was an amazing Metroidvania game.
Yeah.
But
good.
I'll
borrow that when I finally finish all my own games, but
it's really good. I recommend it. But the Fallen Order just feels a bit sort of. It's annoying because it's one of those things of you can't go there because the game says you can type of thing. Like when you get your upgrades and stuff, it seems just pure contrived. Like there's a bit where you're about to like fall, and he just remembers. Like I'm not exaggerating. You go into a flashback and he remembers how to like force pull stuff to him. And I don't know. Some people say like, oh, but he's reconnecting to the Force, and I'm like, I don't know. It just feels contrived to me. And it's really buggy as well. Like I've recorded a few. I've recorded a few videos of things where like, you know, I've loaded in and he's like falling, sort of just standing there, falling into nothingness. You know, like he's on land, but it's as if he's stuck in the animation like he's falling. You know, crap like that. And is it EA or is it Ubisoft or whoever? But
it's EA.
Is it EA? Some massive AAA publisher, and you're like, you know, crap like that. It just really takes you out of it. Another thing, and this is maybe you won't agree here, but like people compare it to Dark Souls, and I love Dark Souls. I think it's amazing. But seeing Dark Souls, see when you discover a secret, you just sort of discover it. See when you discover a secret in this game, it comes up secret discovered, and again in Zelda you get the little jingle, but it's like sort of between you and the game.
Nah.
Whereas when it comes up secret discovered, it's just sort of like, I don't know. It takes me out of the experience a wee bit.
Secret 1 of 5 discovered.
Yes, it does. It comes up with stuff like that.
Aye.
And
oh well, I guess I've got 4 more secrets to find. I guess those 4 secrets are now not secret.
Yeah, and like it's similar to Dark Souls. Like in Dark Souls, you rest at bonfires, and if you die, you respawn at the bonfire, right? But the thing is it all fits together in Dark Souls. Like your characters are undead, so they come back infinitely. That's kind of, it makes sense in the world. Whereas in this one, when you die, it just goes like, oh, you died, like respawn, and you go out to like a meditation point, and you're like, why is there only certain points you can meditate at? Are they like special? Are they connected to the Force? I don't know, because again, the bonfires in Dark Souls, you can't use them if there's a bad guy like right next to you. You know, they'll hit you and take you out of the animation, and you need to fight them. Whereas in this, you can just run and just sort of leave me alone, please. I'm meditating. Like, don't kill me. I don't know. It's just sort of, again, it's daft, but it just sort of takes you out of the experience a wee bit. That and all the glitches and yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely not bad, but I'm kind of disappointed because I'd heard like, you know, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, like awesome, and I'd 5.5. Honestly.
Finish your move.
5.5 so far is what I'd give it. Oh, the other thing, everyone was praising it 'cause it's like, oh, there's no loot boxes. I'm like, good. But that doesn't, you're not 10 out of 10 for not having loot boxes. It's just like, oh, but that was really good by EA to not like fill it for a loot box. I'm like, well, no, that's just the
it ruined
standard.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, did it not?
Pretty much. Well, I wouldn't say it ruined it, but it made it a pain in the arse.
Take like 200 years to get Luke Skywalker legitimately.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're praising it for things like
Black Box.
You know that Chris Rock joke where he's on about like, you got this mother and she's like, I take care of my kids. It's like, You want credit for something you're supposed to do? It's a bit like that. It's like, oh, but they didn't fill it full of loot boxes. Well, you're not meant to.
Nah, exactly.
So yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember why these guys even like have ended up in hell or wherever this is meant to be. Oh, Luffy's free. Second gear, third gear. Get ready, punch him in the face.
Bone balloon.
Fat Luffy attack. Have you developed any super moves for your fighting yet?
Well, no, but
Nah,
you don't have super moves, but you do kind of have signature moves in a way.
Call out.
Just the way you
Just call out your attack.
Well, I was talking to a Thai fighter a while ago, and they do this stupid thing like when they land like a kick or whatever, they'll go "Ooh," like that. It must be one of those things where like over in Thailand,
this tech surely.
well, over in Thailand the crowd must do it, and then it must be one of those things that's just kind of like spread like that. But it's just funny how like Muay Thai guys would slag karate guys for like wearing the gis and being like the kia and all that stuff. But I'm like, you guys do the exact same thing with your like ooh, you know that, and you're like nah when you throw kicks. Guy threw a kick the other day and he legit went teep when it's like a teep's like a sort of pushing kick, like a sort of front kick. And I was like, how you've got a cheek to slag any other like martial arts style? Like, imagine I would just like that side kick every time I threw it. Like that just My point is they're all quite silly. So how can you say like, oh that it's stupid that you guys do that? It's like, well, you guys do this. So.
Do you not just launch a dragon fist sometimes?
I was boxing the other day and we were sort of switching stances to throw an uppercut, and once or twice I legit like sort of jumped slightly like a shoryuken, and I was like, no, that's not right, that's not what I should be doing there, but it was fun. I didn't make the noise though.
It's the one where he jumps and spins with his leg.
Tatsumaki Seppuku or something like that.
I'll take your word for it.
People just call it a tatsu. It's a tatsunaki.
And I suppose the key question is, have you ever thrown a Hadouken?
No, but one day.
One day. Not enough characters in Street Fighter throw a kind of projectile move.
No, most of them do.
I was playing Street Fighter 5 and I was not impressed.
Who are you playing as?
I played as Ryu.
Right.
And I just won every fight by throwing a Hadouken repeatedly. And then if they got too close, I'd maybe throw a high kick just to kind of get a bit of space between me and them.
What difficulty were you playing on?
Easy. I don't know, doesn't really demonstrate anything.
I like Street Fighter 5, but I totally get why people hate it.
Aye.
I like Street Fighter 5 because I'm bad at Street Fighter.
Do you unlock the characters as you go? Because I've recently downloaded it and I don't seem to have any characters for the arcade except like Ken and Ryu, and it says you can buy them, but it's like for 100,000 like.
You should have more than Ken and Ryu, but
fighter points.
Yeah, it's like fighter points, but
to get like 10,000
yeah,
fighter points takes ages.
Remember. I can't remember.
And when I beat arcade mode, I didn't get any fighter points. So I was like, well, what did I get for doing arcade mode? Nothing. And also, how do you get the main story? Do you have to do all the individual character stories?
No, that's it's not DLC you need to pay for, but you need to go download it separately. Which is, I know, that's utter nonsense.
Okay.
You need to go into the store.
I'll maybe do that later then.
It's complete nonsense.
I can't remember what Zoro's doing here. Is he fighting Kuma? I think he just teleports him. Kuma. Oh, it's a paintball. Aye. Take all the pain. Should be enough to kill him. Basically, knocked out Luffy, and he basically just tries to take the paintball, and it's too much at first, but then he just takes it like a boss.
So what, he's absorbing...
He's absorbed all the pain that Luffy took, yeah. Well, Luffy's like on the brink of death. But because Zoro's such a badass, he just goes over and takes it. Do you know what I mean? Just took it.
I need to watch One Piece.
It's too far gone. Watch it. Watch what's on Netflix even.
I might do that.
And let's say even we'll maybe pay a bit more attention to what's happening in the game, because it does give you like just the highlights. You know what I mean? You can play like a wee half-hour chapter of this. And, like there's Brook. He's just a dead guy.
Yeah, why is he a skeleton?
I don't know. I think he ate the bone fruit.
Oh yeah, of course.
He had to die. Yeah, it's like everything. It's just assume everyone ate some kind of fruit. Frankie is a cyborg, but everyone else ate a fruit. So like he was a reindeer that ate the human fruit. Zoro's just a regular guy to be fair, but he wants to be the world's greatest swordsman. Nami's just a mad slut. But she finds a enchanted bow staff that lets her summon thunderstorms and shit. Usopp's wank, the guy with a pointy nose. Tits McGee over there in leathers has got the, I don't know, I'm going to call it the hand fruit. That lets her summon a load of arms and feet everywhere.
Right. Oh right, yeah, I've seen that. I did wonder what was going on there. I just assumed it was some sort of anime move. Kill Luffy.
Nope. Luffy-san.
I've always hated that weird like nose
Snot
thing that they do in Japan
vile.
all the time, or not in Japan but in anime and stuff. I've always thought it looks pure gross.
I was disappointed. My Hero Academia did it just at the end of season 6 there. I thought you were better than that, like full double tears and snots and all that. I was like, nah.
God, that's another one I need to get back to. They've got like up to the 5th season on the Flicks now.
I know.
Which I'm assuming is dubbed.
Yeah.
Is it? Aye. Because I quite like the dub, so I can stick with the dub. A lot of the times it depends. It depends A, if the dub's any good, but also B, sort of what I start out with.
Yeah,
because then that's sort of
voice you. See, because All Might is Piccolo.
Especially, yeah.
It's really I couldn't not listen to the dub.
Oh,
God. Apparently I got enough time, but I didn't get enough kills.
I want like 2,000 plus kills or something.
Do one game. I got S rank on every level already. I'm not fucking bothered. Give me my money.
Where's my money? Got my money.